Greetings, nerdy list aficionados. Now, being a hero to some, that would sound like a dream come true, but to others, well, it's actually a bit of a nightmare. Or at least something that changes their life for the worse, or the more complicated. We're gonna be taking a look at heroes who wish that they could just live normal lives. There's a decent amount of them, so we're gonna look at some prominent examples out there. I'm Sasha, and these are the top 10 superheroes who wish they were normal. Let's get started. Number 10, Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. Ben Grimm is a member of Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. This was the team created as a response to DC's success with the Justice League, and it was also the comic that relaunched Timely as Marvel Comics, because Marvel was not Marvel until the 60s. Ben Grimm suffered the most physically unappealing, it could be argued, of the transformations of the team. And it's not one that Ben Grimm himself enjoyed at all. He felt like a monster. In fact, that's why he names himself The Thing. He doesn't feel human. One of the core struggles for Reed for a bit was trying to find a way to transform Ben back into Ben Grimm, his human form. And that transformation has happened a few times, usually for reasons other than Reed, like Doom. And Ben is always thrilled. He has come to terms with being the Thing, he's made friends, found love, but at the end of the day, he would still 100% rather not be the Thing. Number 9, Rogue. Now these days, Rogue is pretty much fine with who she is. Heck, sometimes she can even control her powers. This allows her to touch people and have sex with Gambit. I'm not sure what her struggle is at that point, but I'm not writing her. But in her early days, Rogue had a lot of self-hatred because of her powers, especially when one of the first manifestations involved her putting her boyfriend in a coma with a kiss. Rogue would start to put up a face of bravado, but really her isolation saddened her. To not be able to do something so simple that so many other people could, just to touch someone, especially when she found people she desperately wanted to. In the animated series, this even led to her contemplating having her powers removed. This was when on Muir Island there was talk of a cure. It turns out that it was a good thing she didn't, because that cure was a ruse. It was designed by Apocalypse, who was looking for his next horseman. Rogue's power is useful, but it sets her apart. When written well, it's quite compelling stuff. Number 8, Starfire, the Teen Titans. Starfire is lower on this list because she definitely struggles a bit less with fitting in thanks to her Tamaranian upbringing, which causes her most times to have an attitude of, this is who I am, deal with it. However, there are times when Coriander wishes that she understood humans more. She comes from a warrior culture and is almost devoid of compassion. In early Titans, having to stop her from killing was a regular occurrence, and she has a hard time figuring out why her teammates are so horrified. She also can't always connect with traditions. This aspect was more played up in Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, one with a more serious tone than the other. There's some comedic tone to the Teen Titans Go one. But comedic or not, this was all about the desire to fit in. All of course to make her relatable to the desired teen and under audience. Wanting to fit in is a powerful theme, and actually never goes away for most people. Fun fact. Is it fun? No. Number 7, Raven. On the same team, we have Raven, daughter of Trigon, but for very different reasons. Raven is the daughter of a demon lord from another dimension, a being created to help facilitate her father's takeover of worlds. His power courses through her veins, and she has to constantly keep herself under control lest he break free or she kind of absorb those powers and enjoy them. She needs to keep them at bay. Raven has to be on guard most of the time, and it sets her apart from her teammates. So she too at times wishes she could just be normal, not constantly battling with her father's will or her conflicted feelings about it. Raven being taken over by her dark side has been a plot before and will be again. It ruined Dick and Starfire's wedding. It was an entire arc on Teen Titans. It's a joke that she's into the idea on Teen Titans Go. It's part of the Titans mythos at this point, as much as if she knew, she'd probably wish it wasn't. Number 6, Beast. First class verse and beyond a bit. Beast has also had his fair share of struggles with being a mutant. One of the original X-Men, when Beast first debuted, he did not look how he does today. In fact, he just looked slightly de-evolved, but that would change when his mutation kicked into high gear. This occurred in 1972, because writers and artists felt he just wasn't visually distinct enough. And also they wanted to cash in on the success of Werewolf by Night after the lifting of the supernatural creatures ban. Beast at the time took the transformation in stride, but later writers would add some angst to this. They would play with several Beauty and the Beast style plots of romantic interest not being able to get past this, or other plots of him being rejected in the scientific community because of it. The Fox universe, specifically First Class, would see him so put off by his minor mutation that his attempts to correct it would cause him to mutate further. This was into his blue form that we all know now. Number 5. Captain America. So Captain America doesn't have any physical mutations or the like that set him apart, unless having an 8-pack counts. He's surprisingly in stride with the culture for being frozen as long as he was, and he doesn't have a demon dad. So why does he wish he was normal? Well, for a time, Captain America became disillusioned with the mantle he was holding because of certain actions that were being taken politically at the time in the comics. This was canonically. So he hung up the mantle of Cap. He truly just did want to be Steve Rogers for a bit, but that was super short-lived, and he came back as Nomad, man without a country. It must be like an addiction. You go from that level of high intensity and action and energy all the time just to nothing. I imagine it must leave you with the shakes. Better to get a really silly costume and do all the things you always wanted to do but couldn't, like have your hair out. Number 4, Peter Parker. Peter Parker complains about being Spider-Man all the time. It's the great burden on his life that's ruining his rep, his job, his health, his romance, everything. Peter has never been able to find a balance between being Spider-Man and Peter Parker. This is because being Spider-Man is such an emotionally fraught thing for him because of the death of Uncle Ben. This death, of course, he's assumed responsibility for. So because of this, even when he doesn't want to be Spider-Man, he is Spider-Man, setting aside everything else because he has to. And oh boy, does he complain about it. Some Marvel fans feel like Peter is selfish, and a lot of his problems he kinda creates himself. Regardless of whether that is true or not, Peter often wishes he was never bitten by that radioactive spider, especially because he believes if he hadn't, his uncle would still be alive. Number 3, Wolverine. You ever notice how when given the chance to settle down, have a farm or a fam, Wolverine low-key jumps at it? You know why? Because he wishes he was living a normal life. Lots of Wolverine's nature comes from the brutality, the brainwashing, all that cruelty he's endured. But that's Logan. What does James Howlett want? Well, it often seems, especially in alternate universe stories, for example Old Man Logan, that given the choice, he would live a peaceful life with a family. In main canon, remember when he wanted to settle down with Mariko, which went horribly, and she became Lady Deathstrike? It's part of the tragedy of Wolverine's story, that his very nature seems to preclude him being able to have a quiet life. His past is always there, just waiting to catch up with him. Number 2, Cyborg. Is he a man or a machine? Cyborg absolutely hated what he had become when it first occurred. Cyborg didn't become what he is by choice. His father turned him into a cyborg after a terrible accident that would have left him dead, him being Cyborg. At first, for a time, Cyborg kinda wished that that's what happened. His life as he had known it before was completely ended. He couldn't play football anymore, couldn't go back to school, couldn't continue some of his relationships he felt. When he found the Teen Titans, he was bitter, and it took him quite a while to not only adapt to his cyborg body, but to see it as an asset. And finally, in at number 1, the Hulk. I'm sure some of you were waiting for him, chomping at the bit, getting ready to write a "oh my god, you forgot X" comment. Well, here he is, Bruce Banner, transformed into the Hulk after a blast of gamma radiation. Banner's transformations into the Hulk were at first completely uncontrollable, and his kill count, if he were allowed to kill, would have been staggering. As it was, his devastation count was off the scale. Banner went into hiding after this, hunted constantly by friend and foe alike, just trying to keep the world safe from his other half. In modern continuity, he can now no longer die because of the Hulk. There's just no respite. He is doomed to walk the earth forever with a creature he considers a danger, a monster. So yeah, he definitely wishes he was normal. I'm Sasha, and those were 10 superheroes who wish they were normal. Can you think of any others? Let me know down below. I know you will. I love reading your comments, I really do. Thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. And we'll see you again soon. Bye bye.